Hello guys, welcome to Daddy Share Space and welcome to my channel. So I got on my little job site outfit here. I'm all set up to work on the lumber cart back there. I'm not sure how I'm going to shoot all the video as far as this, so it's probably going to be one video is going to be Daddy Share Space Daily, where I'm just going to be talking about a few things, and then I'll try to put together some clips to show what I'm doing with the lumber cart or whatever, just a little bit of build stuff or whatever. But I guess since this could be Daddy Share Space Daily, let me just show you something real quick. So right here I have my Milwaukee Fuel 7 1/4 inch miter saw. It is on a home built stand. It's not much of anything to look at. However, what I wanted to show about this particular setup is, and this is not just for Milwaukee, it's for Milwaukee, Dewalt, Makita, all of these different brands out here or whatever. For one, just a little side note, why do I have the 7 1/4 inch Milwaukee saw as opposed to the Dewalt when I have the 12 inch Dewalt saw? And the answer to that is pretty simple. So this particular saw here is the most full featured of those. I'm not sure about Makita because I've never purchased a Makita miter saw. So one of the key things with the Milwaukee 7 1/4 inch miter saw is it's fully featured. It's just like its 12 inch brethren, whereas the Dewalt version is not. So this saw has the ability, when you loosen the knob in the back, to pivot all the way to the left side. And then it also has the ability, when you pull a toggle in the back, to pivot all the way to the right side. The 7 1/4 inch Dewalt saw does not do that. It only bevels to one side. So this is a fully functioning small compact miter saw, which that's what led me to pick this particular saw, because I mean, what's the point of buying a saw if it's only going to have some of the features? This was the most equipped saw, and that's why I purchased this one. Getting back on topic of what I was going to be talking about with this particular setup, I'm not quite sure why Milwaukee, Makita, Dewalt, Ryobi, any of these other brands, why they have not thought to make something like this UG stand that's over to my left and also behind me. When I was working on the wood cart yesterday, one of the things that I noticed is that, let's say I'm making a cut. Let's say I cut a board that's like a 45-degree angle like this, right? And I could go and measure this up to wherever it is that I want it to be, and then I could take that and butt it up against the stop, wherever that is, and line my saw up to my cut mark. And once I butt it up against the stock, I'm good to go. I could just make my cut, and my next piece will be easily repeatable, or any cut after that will be easily repeatable by me basically taking a piece of wood. Let me flip this around. If I turn this to 45, I cut my 45, right? And then once I cut my 45, I flip my board back, slide it into this stop, turn this back to 0, butt it up against that stop block, and you have easily repeatable cuts. And that does not necessarily require you to have a measuring tool, and that's one of the things I used yesterday, or the technique that I use. A lot of the times when I'm working on stuff like the wood cart, it's not really a drawn out design. I just kind of think of things in my mind. And so basically what I did on the back side of the wood cart, so originally when I built my wood cart, it had a full 2x4 going up like about 8 foot or whatever, and I left it sticking up there, but one of them was going at an angle because there's a slope for where the plywood leans up against the front. And so what I ended up having to do, I cut it down because it just was there, and I didn't think all the way through about how I could have used that for extra storage. So what I've done is I've taken 2x4 and made an extension going up as high as I can possibly go and still be able to roll around the shop here. So I extended it up, and then in order to make the design kind of layered, let me just take you around there so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, so if you take a look here at the way that I did this, I'm not sure if you can see it from the angle, but basically, so in the back there, I have that vertical piece going up, And then what I did is I made a 45-degree angle. I cut 45 on the bottom here, and then I lined it up with that vertical piece going up, and drew a line, cut a 45 on the back, which gave me a proper brace for that back portion so that it wouldn't pivot back or it won't pivot to the back or forward. It'll be locked in because it's nailed at the base, and then it's nailed up there on that back post. And so then what that did is it left me with the triangular or basically a 45-degree angle going up this way. So with the next piece that I cut, essentially what I did is I cut a 45-degree angle on it, and I left it long to go up. And what I did is, if you check in this section here, I took a 2x4 and set it here, and then I set a 2x4 on top of it, and then I marked there as my cutoff part so that this portion would extend past the next level up. And I just did that progressively all the way up here, as far as that's how I achieved this kind of stair step approach. And since each 2x4 is going back by 1.5 or 2.5 inches back towards the back, I also made these front portions stagger back as well, so that when I'm accessing the bottom portion, there's not as an overhang. And then when I access here, you know, I can actually see from the top down. I can see the sheet of wood that's here, or 2x4 that's here. I can also see what's here and here and here. Now this may be a little bit too tall, I'm not sure. It seems like it's going to go up under my wind air cleaner unit, but over on the back side it may hit on the garage door opener. I don't know. If so, I'll trim it down. But as it is, I'll be able to store lumber up here, 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 and here in a more organized fashion. So what I'm imagining doing is, like for these parts where it's through fair, I may have, like, say a 2x4 there that may be long to go across there, but then like I could put sheets of plywood that are cut, you know, like basically portions of plywood. I can set them up here so I can pull those out one at a time, and then whatever 2x lumber I can put it up here as well, you know, stacking one on top of the other and sliding them to the back. If I need to put a lip on the back, I'll do that to prevent them from falling out the back side. As I was mentioning yesterday, I may try to make some kind of a lip in the front so that I could put these bigger sheets of plywood on this cart as well. I don't know if that'll make it too heavy to move. It might, but nothing beats a failure but a try. So if you're able to take a look right there in front of the camera, you can see that I have this diagonal board going this way, and that's just to hold up this this spacer piece, because what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put pieces that come out in line with this all the way across this board, going in this direction, and that'll give me additional support when I you know, I'm going to pocket hold the board in. I'm going to do that all the way up the top and all the way across to that other end over there. And then once I do that, I'll be able to, like I said, put boards across this portion. And I'm not sure how much of this wood here I can get up on there. I'm actually thinking about the very top portion here, putting the short boards up here, just kind of laying them up there across the top, so I could just reach up and grab one board at a time. I don't know, maybe I'll put them kind of vertically like this. You know, I'll put a part right here to make them to where they don't fall off, and then bookend them all the way down to the right side, and that'll give me a lot of storage space right there. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing as far as today. Oh, I do have an idea of what I want to do as far as with the excess lumber. So I think I'm going to make some shorter videos, some like really short videos, maybe like just over a minute, maybe 2 minutes. And for the offcuts that I have that aren't really useful for much of anything as far as a product, I think I'm going to start to process this wood out to the dump. And what I mean by that is because I need to get more experience with all my tools, like let me just use the sander and the router table as an example. What I plan on doing is like taking a smaller piece of wood and just running it over the router, or running it, or manipulating the wood on the sander, just so I could get a good feel for using a particular tool. And then also, like, say for instance, if I'm using, let's say, a smaller piece of wood, I could get a little bit more experience in how that operation works out. And if I'm able to do that, then I think overall, when I'm building real projects, that's going to help me out, because it's going to put hours or time up under my belt of me using the tools. Very similar to like if I'm using the jointer. If I take a board that I know I'm going to throw away and I just run it across the jointer as many times as I can to kind of get a better feel for how the tool works, because that's the only way you're going to actually learn is through practice, right? And so I think I'm going to do that and try to make as much sawdust as I possibly can, so that it limits the size of the items that I have to take to the dump, whatever. Because right now, I don't even know. I mean, there's a possibility that I could get a lot of this in the back of the truck, but I don't think I could get it all in there in one go. And so if I do take this other approach where I just kind of mill these boards down, sand them, route them, even doing, different types of cuts and different types of joinery in very, very, very short videos, like, 1 to 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes at most, and maybe kind of call it like, my sawdust series. So, because that's all I'll be doing is making sawdust. But for me, it'll be helping me to get more skills under my belt, and it'll help with my overall projects. So but anyways, to wrap this video up, I just want to say that it's super nice to be able to switch back and forth from doing like trying to learn like finer woodworking, which is what I use my Festool tools for, but then being able to get down and dirty with my Dewalt, my Milwaukee, where I don't feel quite as like I have to be as delicate with the tools, and so I could just kind of get down and dirty. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I really do wish that Makita, Milwaukee, or any of these people, who knows, maybe Benchdogs or woodpeckers will come up with their own kind of miter stand that they could make. That would be kind of cool for Benchdogs to make a miter stand out of aluminum, the same way that they made their, or even dashboard. Any one of them could make an aftermarket miter stand. I think there's a market for that offers the same kind of precision that the Festool Capex does, but what would make it sell is if it was a competitive price. So I think that's a perfect type of project for some company to do. But I'm just surprised that companies like Milwaukee and or any of the other brands have not done that already. Because if you think about it, from my personal experience, I've seen people on YouTube all the time. They measure, mark, cut, and they may measure, mark, cut multiple times. And the reality of the matter is, without a stop block that's giving you a guaranteed, reference, there's no way that those boards are equal or 100% equal. There is just no way, because even if you look at a pencil lead, whether you use a number 2 pencil, a carpenter pencil, a 0.5, 0.7, 1.0 lead pencil, they all have a different like thickness of the lead, and it really makes a difference if you cut on the outside, the inside, or even in the center of any one of those markings, and that's going to lead to error in your project, which means it's not going to be square. And so like I think a lot of things, just for me, that have been demystified is the fact that people make it seem like they're getting square cuts all the time by just measuring and marking with the tape measure, where you actually pull a tape measure out, measure say to like 19 inches, like 4 times in a row to make 4 legs, and somehow they're all equal. It's possible to get lucky, but for the most part, I don't think so. I think that without the stop block, there really is no way to accurately and consistently get equal cuts. And the same thing is true even with the stop block. If you say put the stop block to 19 inches or whatever, and then you move it and you come back, there's a chance that you may be just a little bit proud or just a little bit, you know, long. And so if that's the case, then you're still not getting the same results. So I guess that's why a lot of people cut oversized and then come back and try to cut things in group all together. But even with that, you know, there could be a chance for error. So for me personally, I think having stop blocks in your shop to set things up, whether it be with your miter saw or having repeatable cuts on an MFT, is very advantageous. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you in my next one.